Day trading recap for Thursday, September 19, 2019. So there was a bunch of stocks I was looking at today, but nothing really popped. I was worried I wasn't even actually going to be able to make a trade since I've kind of narrowed my criteria for day trading. Just I find it's a lot more efficient if I'm just taking larger positions in higher yield strategies. And I just didn't find anything until later in the day. This was one I missed, this CM, which popped up on my no gap trade ideas scan that I created, which looks for, because most of my strategies look for gappers. So occasionally there'll be a big mover that I'll miss because it didn't really gap from yesterday's close. But you can see here on the smaller chart, yesterday's close was around 82.71 and it only gapped to about 82.93. So technically it was a gap, but my criteria for no gap movers is basically under 25 cents, I think. So it can't have moved 25 cents from the close of the previous day. And it had a really nice move today. The place, this is a pattern I see a lot where it'll move up, and I'll show you on the 8 and 20 SMA. So I use the 8 EMA and the 20 SMA together. Very useful for day trading. And right here is probably where it would have gotten in. Right when it got to started resting on this 8 EMA and using it as a support, you see these little bottoming tails just poking down at the 8 EMA. This would have been a really nice place to get in, probably right around here at around 83.61. Could have ridden it up to almost 84, and for about a 40-cent drop. Now you'd have to, if you wanted anything more than that, you'd have to have withstood this big drop, which would have made you nervous. But the 20 SMA was here to kind of rescue it, and it kept going up after that. So pretty nice move. But the trade that I took today, which it took me a while to find it, I didn't get in until about 1:30, was ZYNE, and this showed up on a lot of scans. It showed up on my I think it's at the top of my list for my no gap, because you can see it didn't really gap. This closed yesterday, didn't really gap much, but it had a big down, and I missed this down leg. But if you look at the daily candles, which very important when you're looking for a good day trade. So it had a big drop yesterday, and actually I can't even remember if this was earnings or not, or just some news. Big drop where it basically went below the 200 moving average, but then came back up and rested on it. But it gapped below it today. So anytime you see something like this, it means something's moving it. It's definitely a prime candidate for a day trade, because stocks tend to behave a little bit more actively around the 200 moving average, especially if they've gapped around it. So yeah, I took this trade, and you can see one of the strategies I love is the stocks that are down then come climbing back through the vwap, which is really the most important moving average you need for day trading. And ZYNE was a prime example of why this is a good strategy and how it works. So it's down on the day, and then it starts to climb back up, and it makes a move here above VWAP, and then takes off. Now here, usually, this was a tough one. I say it's a prime example, but a lot of the time I like when it retests VWAP and then takes off, because then I know VWAP is a good support. You can say it kind of did this with this little bottoming candle, but you know, it happened right away. It got above one down candle and then kind of touched it and then took off. But you can see I didn't get into it until late, and I waited for it to basically to rest on this 8 EMA. And then I said, all right, you know, this has got me now. I could see it possibly making a move to back to the close of yesterday. So I got in at 818 right here. And if you were smart, I actually had put a little arrow here earlier in the day, went across VWAP saying, maybe this is where I want to get in. I wish I did. I could have saved another 18 cents or so, or 20 something cents, but that's okay. Still a good move. I got in at 818 and just continued up nice and smooth. Had a nice little red bar ignored here. And then the reason I got out when I did, my target was actually, my target was actually about right here. I think it was 858. I think my target was 858. I got out at 855 because you can see it started to separate from the 8 EMA. As soon as it starts to lose the 8 EMA as a kind of like basically like a trailing moving average, just kind of moving with it, and you see this big space here, because of this big move up on this 5-minute candle, that's when you get nervous, because there's going to be some regression. And look, there was right away. So I took some out a little early at 855. So that was a pretty good move. 37-cent gain. I can't complain from 818 to 855. Came back down, and you can see again resting on that 8 EMA. So possibly a re-entry point right here, but I can see this maybe not having another leg and not having enough to move back up and starting to fade. Who knows? But this is the little move that I took advantage of. A lot of people probably got in right about here once they saw that it was holding VWAP, and that would have been a great move. You get in around 790 before it breaks 8 and ride it all the way up to about 867. Pretty decent move if you got that. But I just looked for this little channel right here, and that's all I needed. Some other ones on the day that I kind of thought about getting into, but it didn't. BHF, I put a little marker here, and it turned out to be a pivot point, so I'm glad I didn't end up getting in there. IOTS, I think, was one. I wanted to take a short here, but it had a restriction, so I couldn't get in. And then AIM was one I'm kind of kicking myself on. This one, look at how nicely this follows the 8 and the 20. So the 8 and the 20, there's a cross right here, indicating possible change in direction. And then it followed that really nice and tight. So I wanted to get in here at about 262, and it kept using that as resistance, and it went all the way down to about 224. So could have gotten almost 40-cent drop on this if I took a short, and I didn't pull the trigger. It wasn't that I wasn't able to get shorts. I think, yeah, there's no restriction on it right now because it was a gap. It was a gap up. Just couldn't get in it. So yeah, but ZYNE was really a nice move if you got it on the short or on the bounce. So that's it. Hopefully Friday will be a good day, and I'll have more trades to recap. Good luck.